Hello everyone, today we are going to learn about tapping. What is tapping? So basically the definition of tapping is the process of cutting a thread inside the surface of a hole in a workpiece so that a screw or bolt can be threaded into the hole. Before we go further, we must first learn and understand the thread structure of a screw. On a normal screw, there is the major diameter, which is the largest diameter of the screw, and the minor diameter, which is the smallest diameter of the screw. The crest is the top surface joining of two sides of threads, while the root is the bottom surface joining of two sides of threads. The flank is the surface between the root and the crest. Meanwhile, the pitch is the distance between one thread to another, which is usually measured from crest to crest. Finally is the helix angle, which is the angle between the thread and the plane perpendicular to thread axis. The most common thread is the V thread, which has an angle of 60 degrees. The V thread is used in most bolts, nuts and screws. This is because the threads produce excellent self-locking action with the right pitch. So now we will look at the tapping tools. The main tools for tapping are taps, which are used to cut the thread grooves in the hole. The structure of a tap consists of the square end, the shank, the flute, and the pointing. So there are three kinds of taps, which are the bottoming tap, plug tap, and taper tap. What makes these taps different from each other are the pointings. Each of the taps have different number of tapered threads at the pointing for different uses. So as you can see, the bottoming tap usually have 1 to 1.5 tapered threads. The plug tap usually have 3 to 5 tapered threads. The taper tap usually have 8 to 10 tapered threads. So now I will explain the different uses of each of the taps. So first is the plug tap, which is the most common tap used for general purposes, as it has slight taper and allows threading to almost the bottom of the hole. Next is the taper tap. Its shape starts narrow and then tapers to a full thread width. This makes it easier to start threading into a hole, but needs to be turned a little further to form a fully threaded hole. Lastly is the bottoming taps, which are used to make threads in a full length of a hole. This means it creates threads until the bottom of a hole, which are commonly used to thread blind holes. It is advisable to use the taper or plug tap first before using the bottoming tap. Now we will look at the types of tap wrench used in tapping. There are two main types of tap wrench. First is the adjustable tap wrench, which is easy to use and commonly used in tapping process. Secondly is the T-handle tap wrench. The T-wrench is smaller than the adjustable tap wrench. This makes it a good alternative tap wrench when using in small and tight spaces. For every bolt or screw, there is a specific tap with matching diameter and pitch of the screw. Similarly, for each tap, there is a corresponding drill bit size that should be used to drill the initial hole. The measurements can be determined using the ISO metric coarse thread chart as shown above. With this chart, we can know the thread size of the tap, the pitch, the effective diameter, and the size of tapping drill that should be used. The drill bit size can also be measured manually using a formula, which is the diameter of hole equal to diameter of thread minus thread pitch. Let's take the M12.1.75 thread for example, where M is the thread symbol, 12 is the thread diameter, and 1.75 is the thread pitch. So by using the formula, just simply minus the thread diameter with the thread pitch, which is 12 minus 1.75, and we will get 10.25 millimeter, which is the diameter of the hole that should be drilled. So the size of drill bit that can be used is 10.20 millimeter or 10.30 millimeter. Now we will see the correct procedure and technique of tapping. First, we must secure the workpiece to a vise so it won't move during the tapping process. Secure the tap tightly to the tap wrench to prevent the tap from moving or wiggling during the process. Line up the tab to the hole and make sure the hole is completely perpendicular to the tab. This is an example of tapping a through hole. You can begin the tapping process using a plug tab or a taper tab. When starting, apply slight downward force on the tab and start turning in a clockwise rotation. Always check the tab so it is straight and don't force the turn or it will break the tab. Apply some lubricant to the hole to help ease the process and prevent the tab from breaking. At this point, after every full turn of the tab, give a half turn in reverse. This will break off the chip and clean the thread. You can apply more lubricant when the tab becomes harder to turn or when the lubricant remaining starts to dry. So this is a through hole. You must continue the process until the tab is completely through the workpiece. If it is a blind hole, continue the process until the bottom of the hole and proceed using a bottoming tab to create the threads at the bottom of the hole. Okay, so the tab is through and we will now start taking it out. To bring it out, turn it in the opposite direction, which is anti-clockwise. It is advised to apply an upward force when pulling out the tab to prevent the threads from breaking or ruining. When it is done, you can try to insert a bolt into the threaded hole to make sure it fits well in it. So that is an example of a through hole tapping process. Here are some of the causes of tab breakage. The first cause is when the hole is too small or the tab size doesn't match with drill bit size used to drill the hole. Second is when the tab is not perpendicular to the workpiece or it is tilted during the process. A tab will also break when there is too much stress applied when turning the tab. If you keep turning the tab even though it has reached the bottom of the hole, can also cause a tab to break. Lastly, a tab will also break if no lubricant is used, because the lubricant will help to reduce the friction between the tab and the hole, thus reducing the stress acting on the tab. Dies, on the other hand, works oppositely with the tabs. Dies are used to cut the threads on the external surface of a rod, which acts as a bolt. They are also used to reshape damaged threads. There are two main types of dies, which are the circular thread dies that are commonly used to cut external thread, and the hex die, which are used to reshape external threads or cleaning rust. Circular dies are made in two styles, which are solid dies that cuts a fixed thread form and depth, and adjustable dies that can be slightly compressed or expand. This is the formula to determine the bolt diameter. As you can see, the bolt diameter is equal to the diameter of workpiece before threading process, which is equal to diameter thread minus 10% of the pitch. For example, let us calculate the bolt diameter of M6 by 1.0 thread. So as we know, 6 is the diameter minus 10% of the pitch, which is 1.0. So 6 minus 0.1 equals to 5.9 mm. Now we will learn how to use a die. It is advisable to taper the rod and clamp the rod onto a vise. This will help to ease the process and prevent the rod from moving. Okay, now we are using an adjustable die, so we must first set the width of the thread we are going to make. The die have one tapered end and the one that doesn't, and make sure the one that have the tapered end is facing downward. When clamping the die to the wrench, make sure the splitted part is facing the bolt to prevent the pressure from the bolt to interfere with the width that we have set. This is because when we put it in a sideways like this, the pressure from the bolt will compress the die and interfere with the width. Before you start, make sure the handle is 90 degrees to the rod. Apply lubrication to the rod. Apply downward pressure and start to turn the handle. Same as tapping, for every full turn or every half turn, you must turn it half backwards. This will help to remove the chip and prevent the die from breaking. Continue this process until desired length. When taking the die off, it is advised to apply upward pressure to prevent the threads from breaking. When it is all done, try to fit in a nut to make sure it fits well. Well, I think this is the end of the video. See you guys next time.